Hey there everybody, welcome to part 2 of my in-depth objective analysis of Sailor Moon Classic versus Sailor Moon Crystal, where we go through every part of episode 1 in an effort to praise what is done well and scorn what is done poorly, along with general discussions on storytelling, animation, and production to get as thorough an understanding as possible for each point. And last, but certainly not least, lots of snarky commentary and jokes too, as that's just a requirement. We'll be picking back up right where we left off in this video, so if you haven't seen part 1 or if you need a refresher, do check it out before we continue. With all that being said, enjoy the show.
おかえりなさい。遅かったじゃないの？ちょっとね。さっきそこで海の国あったわよ。テスト返してもらったんだって。海野くん95点だったってね。ああ、そうははは、すごいね。海野のやつベラベラしゃべんなよ。で、ウサギは何点だったの？いや、それが実はなんだ、その見せて。はい。うさぎ！
Comedy gold. I love this scene so much, it's so goofy. Upon rewatch, I noticed that the show introduces the rest of the Tsukino family very cleverly. Their house has a special family sign that is apparently common in Japan. This sign lists all the names of the household in chronological order. So at the top, we've got Usagi's dad, Kinji, who I adore and will meet next episode, Usagi's mom, Ikuko, whom we've already met, then our girl Usagi and her younger brother, Shingo, who I and everyone in the fandom have a particular distaste for. This one quick shot tells us about her family without saying a word, and that's honestly really clever. Usagi calling Shingo her younger brother is overkill though. It's the same problem that Crystal's scene has, and it's just as bad here. It's unnatural, jarring, and unnecessary because of Shingo's scathing remark towards his clearly older sister. So nope, Classic Episode 1 isn't perfect. Not like I ever said otherwise. But I know some people, Crystal stans, are convinced I'm unreasonably biased in favor of Classic. Hopefully this proves otherwise, but if not, don't worry, we've got more flaws to cover as we go. Ikuko shows that she hasn't given up on her daughter like I alluded to before. She's actually very concerned about Usagi's grades and pretty intense about disciplining her. Once again, we're told that this is the status quo, which confirms that Usagi has not grown in a while. I can understand Ikuko's frustration and harsh treatment of Usagi because of this reason, as well as her low expectations of her daughter in certain areas, such as waking up when she needs to and getting to school on time. Shingo, on the other hand, well, there's a reason why no one in the fandom likes him. He's the typical badgering and antagonistic little brother, and I do not like him. He's the first character to be intentionally written as unlikable, so I get it, and he and Usagi bounce off of each other fairly well, but I just don't care for him. He barely develops beyond the annoying little brother cliche when he easily could have been a great character. All the pieces are there. And he does give the Tsukino family some needed variety and spice that makes them more believable as a family. So I have to give him props there. But he kicked Usagi in the butt and said he wished he had a better sister. That's a bit much, guy. Speaking of that, you could call his line of wishing for a better sister more foreshadowing, considering Usagi will become Sailor Moon and how her character will develop over the course of this series. All I'll say for now is, careful what you wish for, kiddo. Other than that, I like the world building, seeing as Ikuko knows Umino, which could support a couple lines of thought on Usagi's relationship with him. Neighbors, childhood friends, maybe their parents know each other, etc. This also ties characters together, meaning Ikuko is aware of the people her daughter goes to school with. Umino knows Usagi's mom and is comfortable enough with her to hold a conversation about his day after randomly bumping into her. This gives the setting a holistic feel, like everyone has has ties to everyone else. When the main character isn't on screen, the world keeps turning. We'll see a lot more of this as the story continues, but it's really nice to see characters being used in natural ways to progress the story. Now let's see how Crystal handled this scene. Right off the bat, we've lost our clever introduction to the Tsukino family, which is fantastic as usual. The acknowledgement of Usagi being late is gone, despite it being literally nighttime, which makes Ikuko seem like a much less attentive and caring mother than Classic's portrayal. However, Ikuko immediately launches into maternal fury when Usagi reveals her grades, so that would be inconsistent with her character. Ikuko would make mention of how late Usagi has gotten back home. That's her irresponsible daughter. She would absolutely be concerned about where she was all day. But this is Crystal, so we gotta speed past the whole consistent characterization and competent parent thing.
Hold up. Oh, whoopsie.
Which brings us to the way they handled the test score reveal in this scene. To put it short, it's atrocious and lazy. But let's get long with it. Crystal once again is just blasting through at breakneck speed, which flattens this joke like a pancake, whereas Classic revels in the building tension of the moment. Ikuko reveals she knows Usagi got her test back and how well Umino did on his, just like Crystal. But Usagi actually responds to her mother's thinly veiled prompt with an attempt at casual indifference. All the while, we can clearly see the panic and fear on her face as soon as Ikuko brings up the test. We get a visual on Umino showing us the difference in perception of the boy. Ikuko sees him significantly less obnoxious and repulsive than Usagi, for obvious reasons. Then we get Ikuko asking for Usagi's test, while Usagi struggles to delay the inevitable. Dread, panic, fear, anxiousness, reluctance, and finally, resignation to defeat. All with Ikuko retaining her calm and pleasant demeanor, seemingly unaware of her daughter's strange behavior, adding to the tension and hilarity. There's such a range of emotion and characterization in this short little joke that is nowhere to be seen in Crystal's first episode. It's just Ikuko mentioning Umino told her about the test and how he did, then immediately she has Usagi's test. Usagi is normal, then angry about Umino spilling the beans, but that's it. There's little to no build-up for the joke, there's no tension, there's nothing good here. We don't get to see Usagi squirm or struggle to come up with an excuse or feign indifference. We skip to Ikuko with the test already in her hands. What is this lazy crap? Then the reveal that Ikuko is going to punish Usagi for failing the test is just... Again, look at the extreme emotions being displayed in Classic and compare it to this tripe. Oh, let's zoom in and shake the camera to show how mad she is, duh. Classic has her twirling her spatula like it's a knife and seething with rage while Usagi looks up at her squeaking fearfully. Then she erupts with exaggerated shouting, a boldly colored background flashing behind her, a vein prominent on her forehead. Then she bursts out of the front door, Usagi flailing behind her, before she shrinks back down and slams the door shut so hard it bends, all just before Usagi can get back up. And when she does get back up, she's on her knees crying and pleading through the door with tears jumping off of her, but Ikuko shoots back that she can't hear her. It's so much more entertaining and interesting and lively. This feels stilted and lazy and just poorly done. I mean, look at this. Look at this. What is this? They couldn't even do the anime action lines around the camera frame? Really? They couldn't do a change in lighting to really sell just how comically angry she is? They couldn't speed this up, make it more rough, add some effects to really sell it as the hilarious payoff it's supposed to be? Come on, guys, this isn't that hard. Even Shingo taunting her is more expressive and entertaining and classic. And I don't even like Shingo taunting her. The failed Sailor V kick is hysterically done, with a quick skeleton shot of her entire body showing her hair has skeletal structure in it and her knee has cracked, along with some incredibly silly expressions and voice acting with the sound effects accompanying it all perfectly. The pensive metronome sound getting slower and slower as Usagi tries to come up with an excuse to not show her test, and finally ending when she relents to give it to Ikuko.
見せて。はい。
The racetrack beeping noises to signify the buildup of Ikuko's rage, ending with an explosion noise as she screams at Usagi. All of that just builds on the stellar animation and direction to accentuate this massively hilarious moment. But Crystal has none of this to aid its comedy. It simply imitates some of this to an inadequate degree and moves along with the story. But the problem is, moments like these are what engages the audience with the characters and the story they're a part of. It's the entertaining part of the media. It's what should keep them watching until the end. This makes me want to turn the show off, not continue.
The animation has been fixed. The animation gets fixed in the Blu-ray releases. Almost all the bad animation gets fixed on the Blu-ray. I know they're gonna fix the bad animation once it's on DVD.
Oh, whoops, whoopsie. Oh, whoops, whoopsie. Oh, whoops, whoopsie.
What are you doing, guys? Did somebody ask for more horror elements? Well, here you go. This might be my favorite aspect of this first arc. It gets pretty creepy and disturbing. Just put yourselves in Naru's shoes. You see all of these people systematically passing out around you. You don't know what's causing it, and you don't know if you're gonna pass out next. Naturally, you call to your mother. She'll know what to do, she always does. But her back is turned to you as she chuckles darkly to herself. She mutters something about gathering a lot of energy, and she's clearly satisfied with this horrible turn of events. You call out to her again, and she giggles sinisterly as she turns her head 180 degrees to pierce into your eyes with a cold stare, a wicked smile adorning her face. The sight of your beloved mother, twisted and contorted into a ghastly sneer, causes a weak gasp to reflexively leap out of your throat. Immediately you regret this and clamp your hands over your mouth in a feeble attempt to hide your presence from this dark reflection of your mother. Doesn't that sound like a scene straight out of a teenage horror book? Whether it scares you or not, you have to admit this is great tension and can convince you to take the story seriously. Naru is in genuine danger, and this scene makes you feel that danger, which is more than I can say for the Crystal counterpart of this scene. Crystal had the brilliant idea to downplay every moment of horror or creepiness in the story, in favor of unnecessary exposition and a quick flash of sharp teeth. Awesome. Once again, the pacing and lack of a unique style is really hampering the portrayal of building tension and reaching climaxes and reveals. First, we get Tuxedo Kamen returning to the jewelry store for some reason. Didn't he walk in there after Usagi left to find the Phantom Silver Crystal? He actually said out loud that he was going to look for it in there, and there was a massive sale going on at the time. Why wouldn't he just look around and determine, oh well, looks like it's not here either, darn, on to the next jewelry store, or something? Why is he here right now? Way to absolutely kill the hype for his first appearance, by the way, you morons. He's just lurking in the shadows, staring at a fucking jewelry store like an edgy loser stalker? What a joke. And why is the Youma saying it seems the one she's seeking isn't there? Wouldn't you have already determined that before you began the clearance sale bullshit? Why are you so incompetent and confusing, you sickly potato? Okay, back to classic. Look at this buildup of tension. This gloriously spooky raising of the stakes. The people aren't at home passing out, they're right there, falling out right in front of Naru, who's completely panicked and unsure of what's happening. All of this as the Youma is standing in a corner, laughing darkly to herself, muttering under her breath, pleased with the situation. Naru's understandably creeped out and confused without even seeing her mother's face. She can tell there's something seriously wrong here. Without the shadowy atmosphere and dramatic lighting, the tone of the scene is clear. It's not relying on lazy plays at horror, it's just creating horror in its own style. The stereotypical horror elements are icing on the cake, and it works magnificently when we get that slow turn followed by the musical cue. Naru's reaction is impactful and perfect, a horrified gasp before she clamps her hands over her mouth instinctually, shuddering and shaking in fear of whatever has stolen her mother's face and is about to kill her. It's dramatic, it's horrifying, and it's so very effective. Again, you really can feel like Naru in this scene due to all the work that was put into crafting this moment. But Crystal decided to forego that in favor of exposition, edgy idiot Tuxedo Kamen, and a quick flash of sharp teeth with a pathetic Naru reaction on top of it.
やっと入れてもらえた。いっぱい泣いたから疲れちゃった。ママもあんなに怒んなくたっていいのに。宿題もやる気しないし、ちょっと寝ちゃおうっと。こういう時寝つきがいいと便利よね。じゃないわよ、失礼ね。喋った。猫が喋った。私の名前はルナ。あなたを探していたのよ、ウサギちゃん。そうそう、はじめにお礼を言わなくちゃね。どうもありがとう。絆創膏剥がしてくれて助かったわ。されてると喋れないし、探知能力は鈍るし、いたずらされて困ってたのよ。でもおかげでやっと会えたわ。おやすみ。うさぎちゃん、これは夢じゃないのよ。うさぎちゃんってば。
More evidence of Usagi's fatal flaw negatively affecting her life, seeing as she clearly decides to not do homework in favor of a nap, which will most likely throw her sleep schedule out of whack, meaning tomorrow she'll sleep in too long and be late for school. You know, the same thing that happened earlier in the episode. If you were feeling like maybe Usagi was getting more punishment than she deserved before, this scene should show that she earned all the problems we've seen her have. So it's great that Luna has revealed herself to break this cycle. Usagi's reaction is hilarious and relatable. I can definitely see myself reacting just like that to a talking cat. Speaking of, let's get into Luna's character. Luna is quite a mixed bag. For now, just know that she's the mentor / advisor / superior to Usagi, and eventually the other Senshi, meaning she's very intelligent and wise. As this scene shows, she's caring, polite, and also kinda cute. Her little giggle, the way she says domo arigato, the fact that she says chan after Usagi's name, an honorific in Japanese reserved for children or female friends. This is cutesy behavior that is subtle enough to endear her very quickly without trying too hard. Also important to note, Luna possesses superpowers, which brings me to the list. During my rewatch of the series to get this episode by episode analysis started, I've noticed a dizzying amount of superpowers and enhanced abilities that each character displays. And by each character, I mean nearly all reoccurring named characters. All of these powers are important to the stakes of the story because power levels define how much danger a particular altercation will pose. We need to be clear on what they can and can't handle. Tracking these abilities also shows us the growth of our characters and where they are on their journey. Trust me, we'll cover that later down the line. For now, Luna's powers are that of a cat, of course, but she can also speak human languages and has sensory powers. These abilities are tied to her moon symbol. Keep that in mind. She also possesses the ability to summon, a rather common ability in this series, as we'll soon see. She has a pocket dimension that only she can access, which holds magical items, like the transformation brooch. Yes, apparently that's the official name of it, which is kinda lame. Well, it's sort of the de facto name for it. It doesn't have a particular name that distinguishes it from any other transformation brooch in the series. It's simply the first of the transformation brooches, therefore it is referred to as the transformation brooch. I prefer to call it the Moon Prism brooch for reasons that will become clear in just a minute, but also cause it just sounds cooler, so that's what I'm gonna call it. The design of the Magical Girl items is very important to the story and themes of the series, so pay attention to all the little details. For instance, this brooch has gems on it that represent all the Sailor Senshi. Red for Sailor Mars, blue for Sailor Mercury, green for Sailor Jupiter, orange for Sailor Venus, and pink for Sailor Moon herself. This design motif for Sailor Moon's items remains consistent, mostly, throughout the entire series. The design of her items represents the main symbolism and thematic elements of the specific season they are featured in, which is incredibly interesting stuff that we'll have to cover much later. This brooch looks much better than the crystal version, which just looks like a toy. It doesn't look like a piece of jewelry a teenage girl would wear regularly. It looks like a weird Happy Meal toy.
Twinkling short, ooh, dinner out of sight.
Classic's brooch looks tasteful, streamlined, and fashionable. It's something that a teenage girl would have this reaction to if she was gifted it. It may be a nitpick, but if I had to choose between which brooch works best as the central piece to Usagi's base design, I gotta go with Classic's brooch. Sorry, Crystal, your design works better as the toy at the bottom of a claw machine. That's something, right? It's also really cute and kind of funny that Usagi's scatterbrained simple-mindedness flusters Luna. She's more concerned with how the cute brooch makes her look than Luna telling her that her normal life is over and she's a warrior now. This scene also reaffirms what I said before. Usagi has this misconception that the Sailor Senshi life is an escape from responsibility and something fun and cool. This misinterpretation even makes Luna assume Usagi doesn't believe her. Don't worry though, that misconception is about to get cleared up real quick. Before that though, I need to remind you that a crystal version of this scene exists. Yes, I know, I'm sorry, but we need to do this. Let's start with a positive, because there is a positive to appreciate here, believe it or not. This camera angle, right here, good stuff. Finally, an interesting camera angle, a unique perspective, and an interesting composition. Plus, we get a nice look at the stuff in Usagi's room. That's cool. I like that a lot, especially when it matches as a reverse shot of the little ceiling light we get before. Finally, some clever camera choices, scene framing, and background design. Freaking finally. Good job, Crystal. You did a thing right. What else you got? I think the little detail of Usagi's bed being unmade before she hops in it lazily is fantastic. That's perfectly in line with her lackadaisical and irresponsible nature. It reinforces those characteristics without stopping the story and saying point blank, "Also, I'm lazy and irresponsible, teehee." So again, good job, Crystal. You're finally doing stuff right. I'm proud of you. Anything else to share?
Oh my goodness!
What the hell was that? Good lord, that was horribly done. What were you thinking, Crystal?
Oh, whoops. Whoopsie.
Guess we're back to our regularly scheduled nonsense and incompetency. Why are we getting another dream sequence in this episode? Why are we doing this again? It was bad enough that we had a dream sequence as our opening scene, because the whole point of this arc is Usagi has no inkling that she is special or connected to anything special. She's meant to be completely normal and separate from the Sailor Senshi life. That's the whole point of her You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself on that one. Just keep this in mind for later, would you? It's gonna be astronomically important in the future. You could say thematically self-destructive and narrative breaking, but we'll get to that in a few years or something. I don't know, these take a long time to make. Anyway, Luna's an asshole for some reason. She couldn't have shouted at Usagi to startle her awake, nudge her, lick her face, run her tail along her nose to make her sneeze, or, as Classic decided to do, slam the window shut and startle her awake. You chose to make her an asshole and scratch Usagi while she slept and then berate her for an honest mistake. This is what you intentionally wanted to do with Luna.
Yes?
Oh my god. Awful decision, just awful. Turning the dream sequence into a callback to the arcade game makes sense, I guess, but I'm still stuck on the fact that we have 2 dream sequences in the first freaking episode. Like, why? Can someone explain why this happened when what happens later is gonna get hardcore contradicted by this? Well, we're Crystal. We gotta speed through to the good stuff. This is her reaction to Luna talking? This? Are you kidding me? What even is this? She's acting like she's drunk or half asleep. What is this reaction? She should be freaking out and falling over herself. She established herself to be clumsy, and we've seen her wild reactions to stuff before now. But when the most unexpected wild thing happens to her, she looks like someone told her that her shoelace is untied? What is this? Dare we compare this to the classic version? Dare we? Usagi leapt out of bed and cowered in abject horror at Luna talking to her. She literally went blue in the face. What is this blasé facial expression and dialogue? Did anyone try at any point during production? Luna just casually reveals some kids did the Band-Aid prank on her instead of us seeing that and allowing Usagi to be courageous, kind, and heroic. Why? What is this non-reaction from Luna? We get nothing comical or energetic or expressive from her. We get some shaking with dialogue and nothing else. No enlarged mouth, no sweat drop, no anime eyes, no attempt at physically forcing Usagi to pay attention when her opening move was to claw her face. Seriously, what the hell was that? This is more embarrassing than the FBI publicizing your search history. Who decided this was a good idea? And where the fact did that come from? Her mouth? Her ass? What the hell? What the hell? Where was that this entire time? Instead of showing us that Luna is a magical talking cat that can summon this stuff, they just cut to a shot of it suddenly existing. What the actual hell is this lazy bullcrap? You should be ashamed of yourself, Crystal. This is astoundingly bad.
Gosh, ain't I repulsive?
Oh, whoops. Whoopsie.
No, it isn't, you bug-eyed freak. It looks like a toddler's keychain. It's gaudy, awkward, and chintzy.
Now pay attention. Chintzy, 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 not chintzy.
There's no back and forth with Usagi and Luna. She's just vomiting up information, and Usagi's just like, whoa, it's bright and shiny. And then say dumb bitch makeup, idiot. This is crap. Crap of the highest order. Classic has this nice comedic air to it, along with serious information and Luna wisely realizing how to convince Usagi that what she's saying is true. Because there's a clear need for her to do that. It wasn't due to random glowing of the randomly appearing 25-cent keychain accessory. There's purpose, and ebb and flow, chemistry. Mercy me is there chemistry between these two characters. Usagi's established scatterbrained simple-mindedness and childish nature are reinforced and played up when she receives the brooch. Luna is displaying a lot of supporting personality traits to balance with Usagi. But here, There's about as much chemistry here as there is in stubbing your toe. There's nothing interesting happening here, not with the characters, not with the dialogue, not with the expressions, not with the framing, or the lighting, or the camera angles. Nothing is happening here that is purposeful and carefully crafted. It's just slapped together and rushed past so we can get to the good stuff they keep shoving in as a dream sequence every chance they get. It's ridiculous nonsense that makes no sense, has no style, and is a total waste of time. How can anyone look at this and say, no, yeah, that's better than the classic scene? Take me back to classic. I'm in need of a pick-me-up.
Prism power! Makeup! Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter or Mars. Even other world, hold my hand.
Much better. Expect more edits and the like to add some flair and style to these videos. This is a scene of firsts. The first transformation sequence, the first time Usagi is called Sailor Moon, the first Sailor Senshi tool being used, the first time we see the Odango hairpieces do something. So many first steps that will become a well-oiled machine by the end of the first arc. I love it. I really do. Note, this is the only time in the series her Odango's hairpieces are used to enhance her hearing. I love the fact that Usagi's still not comprehending what she's gotten into. When Luna tells her to go save Naru, she's taken aback. Like, shouldn't we call the police? Well, Luna did specifically say that the enemy she has to face can't be fought by the police, so I guess that's out. It's good of the show to point these things out, covers their tracks so the story can take place without people asking these kinds of questions. Beyond that though, I think it's wonderful that Naru is the one in danger. It gives Usagi that much more motivation to step out of her comfort zone and save her. If it was someone else she didn't know, she might not have gone out that night. So it's perfect that her best friend is in danger to give her enough bravery to go and fight. And that who me moment is just so adorable. What's that, Crystal? You want your turn now? Well, alright, if you insist. 3D animation transformation sequence. Sickening. Thanks for sharing. If you know anything about Crystal, you know the bad animation it has and you understand what's wrong with it. It looks bad, stiff, jarring, off-model, and meme-worthy. We're good. No need to go into a diatribe about that. I may hate Crystal with a fiery passion like unto an erupting volcano, but even I won't beat a dead horse. But the 3D animation for the transformation sequences is a special little insult to the series, because transformation sequences are a Sailor Moon staple that reigns as some of the best in anime history. And instead of even attempting to rise to the occasion, Crystal decides, fuck it, 3D animate that shit and keep it moving. How fucking dare. Offensively lazy. That's what it is. I just wanted to point that out once so we never have to talk about it again. Beyond the bad animation, which has been memed to death, there are about a dozen bigger problems with this scene. Shocking, I know. For starters, the cute little attitude Usagi has towards Luna's prompt is just gone. There's no, lol, whatever, this dream is pretty goofy, which a ditzy teenage girl like Usagi would do. She'd play along, she'd be interested, she'd be lighthearted, she would not be serious, or constipated, or whatever this look on her face. And why is she saying she looks like Sailor V without looking at herself in the mirror? How does she know she looks like Sailor V? She hasn't looked at any part of herself after the transformation. Look in your mirror, look at your hands, look at your clothes, touch your Odango pieces or your tiara. Do something, you blonde carrot. Where's her panic, her shock, her uncomfortable emotions, her barely coherent questions, and fears of what's happening to her? In other words, where's her character? What is this reaction? Oh my, I look like Sailor V. That was unexpected. Oh my, this is a surprise. Whoa my. What is that? Why do you keep not having the proper level of reactions to these crazy, outlandish, magical things happening to you? Why though? The classic scene features a wide range of emotions in acting and posing. Even Luna gets a comical reaction to Usagi. Things are happening. Emotions are conveyed, comedy is achieved. This is entertainment and good storytelling. Why can't we have this here? I don't understand. Oh, and they took out the moment where she's reluctant to jump into danger. That very character establishing, thematically relevant, perfectly humorous moment. Just gone, yeeted into the stratosphere. It's not like that moment encapsulates Usagi's ineptitude and irresponsibility at this point in her graceful change or anything. It's not like this moment is something the viewers come back to every time Usagi has a moment of growth in this arc, if not the season, if not the series as a whole. It's not like this sets up how much danger she's going to be in when rushing to save her friend, thus ramping up the stakes even higher than they already were. No. Just chuck it into the ether. We don't need any of that good stuff. Because now we're getting to the real, actual, genuine, authentic, real, true, genuine, actual, authentic, true, real, good stuff. Here we fucking go.
私はお前のママなんかじゃないよ。
And the horror elements keep piling up. My goodness. Do I even have to point out how terrifying this would be if you were in Naru's shoes? What a horrifying thing to experience. Thinking your mother has become a mass murderer all of a sudden, only for her to turn her head 180 degrees to stare you dead in your eyes with the creepiest expression you've ever seen. Then to have her strangle you with the clear intent to kill as you beg her to stop. She says, she's not your mother. Her face proceeds to contort and shrivel into the face of some demonic creature with black sclera, a Voldemort nose, and a grotesque wound throbbing on her forehead. Naru's gonna need a lot of therapy after this, poor thing. Good thing Usagi came to save the day.
誰だお前は。
私は愛と正義のセーラー服美少女戦士セーラームーン月に変わってお仕置きよ。
As for her speech, another first of many, how she came up with it isn't clear, but I'm pretty sure Luna said some of this on the way to Osa-P. Although I'm willing to bet that Usagi added the pretty soldier bit and in the name of the moon I will punish you. It's lovely, considering Usagi still considers this escapism and something cool to do. We're gonna see how this Oshoku Yo speech evolves over time, but for now, just know that she is still of the mind that this is all a game. The main thing I want to talk about is how effective and iconic this scene is. Specifically, this shot of the Youma revealing her true form as she strangles Naru. Quickly comparing it to Crystal, Naru asks her mom what's wrong and begs her to stop being creepy. The Youma in response says her mom is tied up in the basement. We get a cutaway of her mom in the basement for some reason. Then we cut back as Naru gasps at the revelation. The Youma goes on to say she can't let Naru live now that she knows her secret, morphs her face to normal for a second, and then we cut away to Tuxedo Kamen, again, for some reason. Then Sailor Moon calls out to the Youma and she does her Oshoku Yo speech. Now I bet you're wondering, well, gee, Saj, it's got the horror stuff you've been gushing over and it's near identical to the classic scene. What could you possibly dislike about that? Only everything. There's pretty significant differences here, the first of which are the Youma's actions. We open the scene back up with Naru getting strangled by wrinkled, grotesque hands. Already we've capitalized on the horror setup of this scene. Naru is currently getting the life choked out of her by a monstrous creature still wearing her mother's face. And the tragedy is, she still believes this creature is her mother. Maybe she can reason with her. Maybe she can appeal to the love they share to save herself. But in a chilling turn of events for Naru, the creature laughs at her futile attempts at appealing to her humanity and tragically reveals, "I'm not your mom." This shocking revelation causes Naru, despite her anguish and pain, to crack open her eye to see what she means by that ominous statement. Cue the most iconic shot in this episode. the grotesque and traumatic morphing of Naru's mom into the Youma Morga. Everything is painstakingly laid out and ramped up to finally get us to this one ghastly moment. This is why every scene in the Osa-P happens the way it does. This is why Naru is the focus of Usagi's friend group. This is why the jewelry store still had the same patrons late at night. It was to facilitate the crucial build-up to this moment between Naru and Morga to make this shot as impactful as it possibly could be. All of this is precisely measured and carefully crafted to get the exact iconic moment that is this shot. A shot used in the opening of the infamous Deke dub, the one that everyone has seen 1,000 times over, the one that's eclipsed the original Japanese opening of the show. This shot is one of the first in that iconic opening, which reinforces the weight of the scene and this shot that is the climax of said scene, intentional or not. This is quite excellent. It deserves the level of fame that it has. Now compare that to this bland, jarring, incompetent mess of a build-up and climax. Why did we cut away to Naru's mom in the basement? Why did we cut away to Tuxedo Kamen entering through the window?
But what the hell, boy?
Oh, whoopsie.
Why can we barely see the Youma face reveal when that's the entire point of this build-up? Why is this shot so bland and basic? It's dead on full frontal. It's not even remotely interesting. Come on, guys. What is Naru doing on the floor? Why isn't she running away? She was behind a door in the previous scene. Why couldn't she just close the door and lock it? Then we can have a scary moment where the Youma breaks through the door to try and kill Naru.
Here's Momo.
That would have been an amazing addition to the build-up of the reveal. But nah, we're just gonna copy off of Classic's test and ignore all that work we're supposed to show. Screw it. We don't comprehend what makes a good scene anyway, so whatevs. I just don't understand any of these choices when Classic did it so wonderfully. Why try to fix something that ain't broke? They didn't even keep the Exorcist 360-degree head turn, which is the other huge detail that defines this Youma as an iconic monster of the week. Are you serious right now? Why wouldn't you keep that? She is literally based off of a demon-possessed woman, popularized by the Exorcist movie. The 180-degree head turn as well as the visual design is an homage to that. Why would you trade all of that rich horror goodness for generic anime zombie prostitute cosplay? Why does the moon tell her what to say? Is the moon itself telepathically communicating with her? Is she
Mouth wide open, mouth wide open, mouth wide open.
Oh, whoopsie.
Is she really so brain dead that she literally can't think for herself in this entire scene? So she needs a non-sentient orbiting rock to beam her the words she should be speaking?
好きな光は愛のメッセージ
That was metaphorical, you dumb bitch.
愛と正義のセーラー服美少女戦士
Oh, whoopsie.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
Oh, whoopsie.
月に変わってOshoku Yo.
Oh, whoopsie.
Whoa, why is everything so electrifyingly terrible? Moving back to Classic, our girl claims she's gonna punish this Youma, so let's see her give it a shot.
うわ何よあんたたち 何これ血が出てる何やってんのセーラームーン戦うのよあのヨーマをやっつけるのよなんでどうして私がこんな目に遭わなくちゃいけないのお家に帰る
Well, that went about as well as anyone could expect. Our girl is finally understanding that this is not a cute little game that she can do with the lightest of ease. No, no, no. Senshi means soldier. Soldier means war. War means kill or be killed. And she's finally getting a taste of that. And that terrifies her, understandably. She barely manages to dodge those mind-controlled victims. Shout out to the one that used a broken beer bottle to try and skewer her. Talk about brutal. I'd also like to point out just how committed to the horror genre this story is in regards to the Youma Morga. Morga's movements aren't normal. She twists her neck like the demon-possessed girl from The Exorcist to look around. She doesn't blink ever, which is scary as heck for me. There's an ominous wind whistling sound as she talks and levitates.
セーラームーン聞いたこともないわそんなものやめよ我が大いなる支配者にエナジーを捧げしどれどもよ
And her tattered dress has an ethereal movement to it. The background's colors have faded into stark black and white as she looms over her army of mind slaves. When she stretches her hand, it makes creaking wood sounds, and the hand itself is rendered in a grotesque way. Her matted, ratty hair moves kinda like tendrils or tentacles. Her dress is like a squirming shadow. Everything about her screams scary movie monster, and I love it. It's the perfect enemy for Usagi to face first, to shock her into understanding the life she's now living. Think about it. How does a scary movie protagonist usually defeat the monster and/or antagonist? They have to get tough, face their fears, and pull out all the stops to either destroy or escape the creature. It's never an easily won battle, nor is it a glamorous one. It's a brutal, sloppy, and desperate fight for survival above anything else. How clear of a parallel does there need to be for Usagi as a newly christened Sailor Senshi completely out of her depth? What an intelligent choice. Let's take a look at the exact opposite of that in Crystal. Yay! On the one hand, I like that the mind-controlled people have to walk back to the jewelry store. In the classic scene, it's a little bit odd that the patrons are still in the store when it's hours after Usagi went to Osa-P after school. I see why they had it like that, because they wanted the innocent people to faint in front of Naru to aid the horror buildup. This is more realistic. They leave their homes and stomp down the street to the store, then face Sailor Moon. On the other hand,
What the hell? Oh, whoops. Whoopsie.
On the other hand, this introduces more problems that are even worse than having the patrons stay for hours inside the store. Namely, why in the high definition hell did they get there so fast? How? How is that possible? How? Do all of the people live on the same block as the jewelry store? Really? Is that what we're gonna do? Okay, so then why the hell did Luna not tell Usagi about the Moon Tiara boomerang while they waited for the mind-controlled slaves to show up? Why did Usagi not rush to get Naru to safety at least? Maybe ask the monster who she works for or what that cylinder with the mysterious red light is. I realize some of these questions can be applied to the classic scene as well, but again, they're less detrimental to the scene than Crystal's. Because the mind slaves are already there when Sailor Moon arrives, there's no way Usagi could rush to get Naru to safety, nor ask who the monster works for. There is a way that Luna could have told Usagi about Moon Tiara action before they even got to Osa-P, but there's also a reason why Luna didn't think to tell Usagi about Moon Tiara action. A reason that is supported when we meet the other Senshi right after they awaken, in that they intrinsically know their technique names and powers and can perfectly use them. So Luna, especially at this point in her arc, would have reasonably assumed that Usagi should know how to fight intrinsically after she transforms. Crystal has similar implications, but the main difference is the time they should have before the Youma's mind slaves show up. Luna would have told Usagi to destroy the Youma, which would make Usagi ask how, then Luna would realize, oh, looks like she doesn't know how to fight intrinsically. Huh, weird. Well, let me go ahead and explain Moon Tiara Boomerang for her then. And then she would tell Usagi how to do it, and Usagi would do it, and the Youma would be dead before the mind slaves could even walk through the front door. Classic could have also explored the idea that Luna or Usagi would ask Morga information about her great ruler, or her reason for collecting all the energy she siphoned from people. However, it's strongly implied, in Crystal as well, that Luna knows what the Dark Kingdom is, or at least has enough information gathered about them to know whatever details they could force out of Morga. If they could force information out of Morga at all. The difference between the two is, once again, the victims turned mind slaves are right there and ready to fight, meaning there's no time to engage Morga directly in any type of interrogation. And yet another big difference is the fact that the energy is not at Osa-P. It's in some undisclosed Dark Kingdom location with Jadeite. It's not in some awkward glass thermos that the Youma is waving around like it's a glow stick at a rave, because having something that obvious and glaring with ample time before the mind slaves arrive would naturally prompt Luna and Usagi to question what that weird container is. But no, the container is completely ignored and forgotten by everyone for the rest of the series.
What?
But I'm getting ahead of myself again. The main problem remains the same. What were these idiots doing while the slaves pulled themselves from their couches, bathrooms, and floors to go outside their homes, to then walk all the way across the street, or the block, to enter this store? Don't tell me they magically had super speed or teleportation to exit their homes, but slowed down to zombie speed for these totally not cringe and lame scary shots here. We're gonna fight if you take that position. Seriously though, why is this a thing that happens? The Youma would have had to fight her on her own or something while she waited for her reinforcements. Otherwise, Luna would have told her to use the Tiara and the Youma would have been disintegrated before the first slave made it to the doorstep. And don't tell me that this isn't important or it's a nitpick, because if these mind slaves moved at this speed and lived a city block away, then Luna and Sailor Moon would have destroyed the Youma before the mind slaves could even get to the front door. The entire point of this scene would be destroyed instantly. Usagi and Luna wouldn't have the moments they need to have here. Tuxedo Kamen would have no reason to reveal himself or praise Sailor Moon, other than it's fate. The entire scene is destroyed if these mind slaves don't teleport right outside Osa-P in time.
Are you hitting the correct banks?
Oh, whoopsie.
This is so unbelievably inept. Okay, and what's with the quick cuts? Why can't we just absorb what's happening with clear composition and properly paced shots that show us every bit of action we need before going to the next shot? Why can't we see Usagi's expression when she's running for her life? I mean, I like that she's running around Luna in a circle, being chased by a zombified lady, but what is this framing? Why do you choose to sap these characters of colorful expression and vivid emotions? I don't understand. Why is no one else chasing her in this group of zombified slaves? Did they lose rock, paper, scissors collectively and have to let this one lady have the first 30 seconds to herself? Look, she's actually stopping the rest of the mindless slaves like, hold on, this is my fight. I've been waiting all my life for a crack at this girl I've never met or known about until right now. This is my time to shine. And they f***ing obeyed her? Huh? What is this?
But wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What were you thinking? Like, how could you do that?
Oh, whoopsie.
Congratulations, you're a failure.
Why do you insist on being stupid?
Oh, whoopsie.
Somebody save me from this awfulness.
Watashi wa Tuxedo Kamen. 泣いているばかりでは何も解決しないぞ。セーラームーン。
My hero. Enter the MVP, best boy, GOAT of the series, the man, the myth, the legend, Tuxedo Kamen. Oh boy, so much to say about this guy in the coming episodes. He is quite the character, and I cover him for a couple minutes in my Why You Should Watch video, mainly in an effort to dispel the many misconceptions about the man that make people new to the show assume so many things that are detrimental to the character, his actions, and his position in the story. Also, Tuxedo Kamen is what I'll be calling him because I'm a weeb. I don't know if you picked up on that yet. But mainly because there are some characters coming up that some of you will have issues with if I pronounce their names in English instead of the way the show pronounces them. So I'd like to get into the habit now and remain consistent all the way to the end, which is also why I've been calling Serena Usagi, Mali Naru, and Darien Mamoru. So Tuxedo Kamen equals Tuxedo Mask. Plus, I just think Tuxedo Kamen sounds cooler, especially when he says it.
私はタキシード仮面。このタキシード仮面が許さん。この私、タキシード仮面が相手だ。このタキシード仮面が
Glorious. His words of encouragement to Usagi are quite interesting, considering crying did in fact solve the problem. Another first for Usagi, her first attack, Supersonic Waves. This is also the one other thing her Odango hairpieces can do, and this won't happen again for a very long time. I'm not sure why. This technique seems quite useful and easy for her to use, but the show just kind of forgot about it for a while. So it was nice while it lasted? Honestly though, I would cite this and the enhanced hearing disappearing after this episode as a flaw in the story. A relatively small flaw, but a flaw nonetheless. Morga's reaction to the supersonic waves is pretty funny at least. Luna comes out in the clutch. I'm glad she does speak up, instructing Usagi on another first of many, Moon Tiara action. This is a really good attack because it's so versatile. You guys will see why in the coming episodes. But I really like the theme and the animation for it. It's one of my favorite tracks and one of my favorite attack sequences of the season. Usagi's reaction to Morga's death is interesting too. She's surprised and even impressed with the effectiveness of the attack, as if she's surprised that it worked, or maybe she's surprised that she's the one who did it. Luna and Usagi's back and forth is great as well. She has to essentially nag Usagi into fighting back. Another first of many. It's important to note that Tuxedo Kamen doesn't step in to defeat Morga for Usagi. He stands by, willing to give her the chance to save herself, and she rises to the occasion. People like to point to this moment because it's been memed, and the meme is funny. However, he did help in an important way. If he hadn't thrown that rose, Morga would have probably clawed Usagi, or worse, strangled her like she did to Naru, which would mean no supersonic waves to disable everyone. Luna might have had to step in to free her, but who's to say that both Luna and Usagi would have survived this encounter without Tuxedo Kamen stealing Morga's attention for as long as he does. I don't see how this situation could have gone better without Tuxedo Kamen distracting Morga, which is an essential part of winning a battle. Distracting the opponent so you can nail a fatal blow is a tried and true tactic that countless other stories utilize to defeat antagonists.
積雲を砕いて石つぶてどこだけど
ならこれでどうだうっつまキナルト連弾
やっぱり気がされた瞬間だ
ナイスだ弟くん
5発目
消滅飛行弾
So yes, Tuxedo Kamen did do something. No, it wasn't something flashy or super badass, but he did do something. So please understand, the meme isn't quite accurate, even if it is funny. Now, Crystal, that's where your meme works. Tuxedo Kamen does nothing but stand by and watch. Then he yells at the characters on the screen to stop being so shit. Not unlike another black suit-clad, highly intelligent, dapper individual we all know and love. But no, seriously, the man does absolutely nothing, even when Naru is about to be killed by a demon woman. He just stands there and watches, the callous asshole.
My job here is done. But you didn't do anything. Are you sure about that? As a matter of fact, I am. Oh, Does this mean you're...
It makes no sense why he's here. Whereas in the classic scene, he saves Sailor Moon's life and gives her the time she needs to do her Supersonic Waves attack, then Moon Tiara action. In Crystal, he just yells at her for being incompetent, which I sympathize with, and gallops out of the window into the night. And yes, I chose the word gallop on purpose. 'Cause he has a horse face.
色が白くて顔が縦に長い。
That being said, the crying turning into the Supersonic Waves attack is better here than in Classic.
What? No!
I can admit that, sure. She doesn't cry at all after transforming. The first instance of her crying is when her Odango pieces activate and amplify her cries as supersonic waves. In the classic scene, she cries twice before they activate, which begs the question, what was different about the other two crying screams that the Odango pieces didn't activate then, but they activated on the third crying scream? Is it literally because third time's the charm? Come on, guys. It also appears that Luna got hurt by the Supersonic Waves attack, which is good. Once again, that's a nice detail. Luna is a cat. She has better hearing than people, so if the supersonic waves were enough to damage people, then yeah, a cat would get messed up over it as well. Plus, she was like right next to Usagi when she did it, so that makes sense. This implies that the supersonic waves aren't directional, they're area of effect, which again makes sense because sound is radial. Everything to do with the supersonic waves in Crystal is good. Nice job, Crystal. But now I gotta flame you again. Morga does absolutely nothing in the Crystal fight. She just sicks the slaves on Usagi and dies. There's no flying, stretching, neck twisting, attempted clawing, or strangling. Nothing. She's the lamest thing ever. What an embarrassing first villain of the week, especially compared to the iconic, classic Morga's portrayal. She was memorable and interesting, and despite being easily defeated, she still did stuff. This one just screeches for her mind slaves, then waits to get killed.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Oh, whoopsie.
To be fair though, I really like her death animation, more than Classic's death animation. Classic's is fine, but Crystal's is really creepy and gruesome. They went further than just fine, they really got more creative and scary with it. For once. And now, a word from our sponsor. Me. It's me. I'm the sponsor. Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Probably has something to do with me being a pre-recorded message, but nonetheless, I'm glad you're here so I can share a shocking revelation with you. Did you know that money can, in fact, be exchanged for goods and services? Yeah, I know, that's crazy, but it's true. Money makes my life easier, and when life is easy, I have time to make content like this video you're currently watching. And since you're already this far invested in the video, maybe you'd be interested to know how you, yes you, can continue to make this channel thrive and keep this kind of content coming. Well, you're in luck, my friends, cause there are numerous ways to donate to the channel and help your old pal SAJ-Man out. All you gotta do is check the description for links to my Patreon, Ko-fi, Cash App, and PayPal to donate. There's no paywalls, no tiers, no hassle. Just donate whatever you're comfortable with and voila, you will have done your part in securing this channel's future and earned my undying appreciation in one masterful stroke. Well done, dear viewer. Well done.
Come on, man. That's too easy.
So, if you've enjoyed any part of my content, consider supporting the channel through the links in the description. Doing so will keep me motivated and afford me the time I need to work on the content you enjoy. No pressure though. In conclusion, if you like my content, you can give me money, then I'll make more content faster and everybody wins. Sound good? Sound good to me. Alright, that's it. See you next video. Gee, thanks, bye!